What is up? I am Sage and you are watching D&D Daily. Today I am doing a blind stat block reading of a Draconic Shard found in the Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. Let's jump into it. Gem dragons wield psionic power, and when a powerful gem dragon perishes, the force of the dragon's will and mind sometimes refuses to pass on. This essence lingers in the form of a psychic remnant called a Draconic Shard. A Draconic Shard in its true form resembles a shimmering, spectral image of the dragon. More often though, a shard inhabits an object the gem dragon poured psionic power into, typically a weapon or other item from the dragon's hoard. In this vessel, a Draconic Shard continues to pursue the interests and struggles that drove the dragon, perhaps even accompanying adventures in the guise of an intelligent magic item and steering them to fulfill the dragon's designs. Destroying the shard's spectral form or an object the shard inhabits forces the spirit into the form of a cracked gemstone while the spirit slowly regains strength. Only if that stone is destroyed can the shard be put to rest. Okay, so this is pretty cool. We have like a gem dragon afterimage. It's the will of the old dead dragon that continues forward. I think my favorite part of this is when it's in an item, so the party thinks that they found this magical item in this old hoard, and it's really the spirit of the dragon trying to convince them to go do the dragon's will. Cool thing is that that's very adaptable. The gem dragon could be a good dragon trying to do some good things, or the gem dragon could have some interesting motivations, or complex. Really, the sky's the limit. There's a lot of storytelling opportunity there. I really like that. It'll be interesting to see how they incorporate those mechanics into the stat block itself, so let's go ahead and jump into it. The Draconic Shard is huge undead, typically neutral, has an armor class of 17, 168 hit points, and a flying speed of 80 with hover. Has a -5 to strength, +1 to dex, +4 to constitution, +6 to intelligence, +4 to wisdom, and +6 to charisma. Interesting. So thinking a dragon, you usually have really high strength. This is an incredibly low strength, so we're dealing with something more akin to a spellcaster, which I wasn't expecting, so that's pretty neat. It has proficiency in dex, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. It has proficiency in arcana, history, and stealth, and expertise in perception. It also resists acid, fire, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. It is immune to cold, necrotic, poison, and psychic damage, and it is also immune to the charmed, exhausted, frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, and prone conditions. That is quite the list. Has 60 feet of blind sight and 120 feet of dark sight. It speaks both common and draconic and has telepathy out to 120 feet. It is challenge rating 17 with a proficiency bonus of +6. Jumping into its abilities, it has deflection. The shard's AC includes its intelligence modifier. Incorporeal movement. The shard can move through creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. If it ends its turn inside an object, it takes 1d10 force damage. It has 3 legendary resistances a day, and rejuvenation. When it drops to 0 hit points, the shard disappears and leaves a tiny cracked gemstone in its space. The gemstone matches the kind of gem dragon it was in life and has an AC of 20, 15 hit points, and immunity to all damage except force. Unless the gemstone is destroyed after 1d20 days, the gemstone dissipates and the shard reforms, regaining all of its hit points and appearing in the place the gemstone was occupied or in the nearest unoccupied space. So there we go, that was the mechanical bit we were looking for, and that's pretty cool. It's kind of like a round 2 if they don't do it right the first time. Maybe they take out the dragon shard and they're carrying the gem around, and then all of a sudden they wake up and bam, you gotta have to face that dragon all over again. It also has unusual nature. The shard doesn't require air, food, drink, or sleep. Moving into the actions, it has a multi-attack. It can make 2 telekinetic rend attacks. Telekinetic rend is a melee or ranged spell attack with +12 to hit, a reach of 10 feet, or a range of 120 feet. And it can hit 1 target. It does 2d8 +6 force damage. Inhabit object. The shard disappears as it pours its psychic essence into a medium or smaller non-sentient object it can see within 30 feet of it, magically possessing it. The object uses the shard's AC, and any damage dealt to the object applies to the shard's hit points. The shard inhabits the object until it uses an action to leave, until it is turned, until it is reduced to 0 hit points, or until an effect that ends possession, such as a Dispel Evil and Good spell, is used on it. When it leaves the object, it reappears in the nearest unoccupied space. While inhabited, the object becomes a magic item if it wasn't already, and a tiny cracked gemstone matching the kind of the gem dragon the shard was in life appears somewhere on the object. The shard can use the object to fly using the shard's own flying speed, use its senses, speak verbally or telepathically, cast spells, and use its legendary actions. If a creature wears or carries the inhabited object, the shard can grant the creature the following benefits. Each of the creature's attacks deal an extra 1d8 force damage on a hit, and the creature gains resistance to psychic damage. Psychic Crush recharges on a 5 or a 6. The shard unleashes a pulse of psychic power. Each creature of the shard's choice in a 60-foot radius sphere centered on it must make a DC 20 intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 10d10 psychic damage and is stunned until the end of its next turn. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage and isn't stunned. The shard also gets spellcasting through psionics. At will, it can cast Detect Thoughts, Invisibility, and Telekinesis. That's an excellent list to have at will, both for role-playing with Detect Thoughts, for escaping with Invisibility, and for Telekinesis for a very versatile spell. The shard also gets legendary actions, the first of which is Rend. The shard makes one telekinetic Rend attack. The second legendary action is to cast a spell using 2 actions. The final legendary action is Commanding Thought, which costs 2 actions. The shard targets a creature it can see within 30 feet of it. The target must succeed on a DC 20 Wisdom saving throw or be charmed until the end of its next turn. While charmed in this way, the target becomes the shard's puppet, acting and moving in accordance with its telepathic commands. While under the shard's control, the target can take only the attack, shard chooses the target, or dash action on its turn. Alright, so my take on the shard is pleasantly surprised. I was thinking on initial impression that it was going to be closer to like a spirit dragon that just runs up and attacks him, just a dragon with a different skin basically. But I think the addition of changing it from being a strength-based to more of a spellcaster, and then the coolest thing, of course, is it inhabiting an item. So there's an entity inhabiting an item. That's a really cool item to give your party. Not only does it give them a d8 of force damage and resistance to psychic damage, but there's also their ability to still use their flying speed, use their legendary actions, cast spells, and speak telepathically through that item. So they can use it as a magic item normally, but every now and again that magic item does something really interesting and unique, and I think that's pretty sweet storytelling right there. Alright, so what I want to know is what you would do with the Spirit Shard. What would you do to make them awesome in your campaign, or what would you enjoy as a player if your DM threw them at you? Please let me know in the comments down below, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Later.